Ugh, I'm so hungry. Class was so long. I could eat a horse now.
I have cupcakes!
Yay! All right, let's dig in. Great.
These look
One
good.
for Heather,
Yeah.
one for Carolina, and Jessica, and me.
Chocolate.
Thank you so much, Carolina.
Yeah. Ooh, these look so good. Do you
They're
guys
great.
ever wonder what happens to the food after we eat it?
That's a very good question.
Yeah.
I don't know. Typically just eat it and then don't think about it.
Let me get back to you. I need to go to the bathroom real quick.
Oh, okay.
Hi everyone, this is Heather Cowden. To answer the question of what happens to food after we eat it, we will be discussing the digestive system and how food moves through it. The process of digestion can be broken down into four major roles: ingestion, digestion, absorption, and excretion. Let's go into each of these in more detail.
Hello everyone, my name is Carolina Miller and I will be talking a little bit about the ingestion process of the digestive system. The digestive system has a pretty long process when it comes to digesting food. When we first look at our food, our salivary glands start to produce saliva. Our saliva helps us digest our food. After you place food in your mouth, you chew it up and then create a bolus, which is a ball of food. Then you swallow the bolus. After food is swallowed, the epiglottis, a small flap which covers the windpipe, which is also known as the trachea, protects the windpipe, which allows food to go down the esophagus. If food were to go down the trachea, then the individual may cough, and this is where the saying, "went down the wrong pipe," originates from. Eventually, this can actually lead to aspiration, which can then lead to pneumonia. Once the food is swallowed, the peristalsis pushes the bolus down the esophagus and the esophageal sphincter opens to drop food into the stomach. This happens through wave-like movements, which is an involuntary movement. The low esophageal sphincter is also responsible for preventing acid and stomach contents from coming back up. If weak or damaged, acid reflux can occur.
Hi everyone, this is Heather again. As Carolina discussed, food enters the stomach as what's called a bolus, where the digestion phase begins. Once the bolus enters the stomach, glands in the stomach lining make stomach acid and enzymes. This strong acidic environment kills most bacteria and begins to chemically break apart the food. Peristalsis continues in the stomach as movements of the smooth muscle mix and churn the food with these digestive juices. As food continues to mix with the digestive juices and begins to break down, it becomes what's known as chyme. At this point, chyme has the consistency of oatmeal. Once chyme is produced, it is ready to move into the small intestine via the pyloric sphincter. Upon entering the small intestine, the liver and the pancreas aid in the digestive process. The liver mixes in bile, while the pancreas secretes enzymes to continue to break down the food. The gallbladder is able to store extra bile in between meals. Due to interactions with food and bacteria from outside the body, the stomach contains a variety of bacteria to help keep the gut healthy. The stomach contains both good and bad bacteria. Good bacteria helps to keep bad bacteria in check. When the two are equal, the stomach is in equilibrium. When this equilibrium is disrupted, however, several problems can occur. Taking antibiotics, for example, can kill too much good bacteria and allow bad bacteria to grow. Too much bad bacteria can lead to conditions including Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis, and irritable bowel syndrome. Your digestive tract is coated with a mucus layer that normally protects against the acid in the stomach. But if the amount of acid is increased or the amount of mucus is decreased, you could develop an ulcer. Gastric ulcers are open sores that develop inside the lining of the stomach. Ulcers occur when acid in the digestive tract eats away at the inner surface of the stomach. The most common causes of peptic ulcers are H. pylori infections and regular elusive NSAIDs, or non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs such as ibuprofen.
Hello, my name is Reika and I will be discussing the absorption process of the digestive system. After chyme has made its way through the stomach and into the small intestine, it begins to get broken down into vitamins and nutrients that eventually will enter the bloodstream. The components of the small intestine include the duodenum, the jejunum, and the ileum. The structures include intestinal villi, brush borders, and intestinal glands to promote absorption. The duodenum is the first segment of the small intestine. It has very little circular folds, but a significant amount of the duodenal glands. Chyme, fats, and carbohydrates are broken down here. The jejunum is where much of the nutrient absorption takes place. There are many circular folds and villi. Peristalsis moves the broken down chyme through the intestine towards the ileum. Absorption of nutrients but not water occur here. The ileum is the last segment of the small intestine. Absorption of water and vitamins occur here. It also has very few circular folds but many aggregated lymphoid nodules, which are also called Peyer's patches. Peyer's patches are responsible for regulating and monitoring bacteria in the intestine. The absorption process starts in the duodenum. The pancreas and the liver both produce various enzymes and buffers to help break down the chyme that moves down from the stomach into the duodenum. Carbohydrates come from eating pasta, kale, and even fruits like avocado or strawberries. To absorb these nutrients, the process starts in the jejunum of the small intestine. Enzymes such as maltase, sucrose, and lactase at the brush border of the jejunum break down disaccharides into glucose and fructose, which are monosaccharides. The monosaccharides, through diffusion, enter the blood capillaries and are delivered to the liver by the hepatic portal vein. Examples of lipids that we ingest are butter, milk, cheese, and even oil. Lipids are broken down extensively from the bolus that forms in the mouth to the duodenum where micelles are formed. Micelles are a mix of bile salts and lipids. When micelles interact with the brush border of the intestinal lining, the lipids are diffused into the tissue. The cells inside the intestinal tissue synthesize the lipids into chylomicrons. The intestinal cells release the chylomicrons by exocytosis. They then travel through the lacteals, where they move along the lymphatic capillary system, through the venules, and into the blood capillaries. The blood capillary walls then break the chylomicrons to release the fatty acids and monoglycerides. Eggs, beans, and peanuts are examples of amino acid food sources. These proteins go through an extensive process of breakdown. After the proenzymes break down the proteins, dipeptides, tripeptides, and amino acids enter the jejunum of the small intestine. At the brush border, additional enzymes such as dipeptidase break down dipeptides into amino acids through facilitated diffusion and cotransport. After diffusing out of the intestinal basal membrane, the amino acids enter the blood capillaries and move forward to the liver via the hepatic portal vein.
The excretory system is a passive biological system that removes excess unnecessary materials from the body, fluids of an organism, so as to help maintain internal chemical homeostasis and prevent damage to the body. To fully excrete all waste from the body, the digestive system works in conjunction with the renal system. The renal system creates and eliminates urine, while the digestive system excretes food waste. Hi, this is Heather reading for Jessica due to some technical difficulties. After nutrients are absorbed throughout the small intestine, what remains is waste that must be excreted from the body. This begins the excretion process. The most important factor for regulating secretions in the small intestine is the presence of chyme. This is largely a local reflex action in response to chemical and mechanical irritation from the chyme in response to distension of the intestinal wall. This is a direct reflex action, thus the greater the amount of chyme, the greater the secretion. Once absorption of water and nutrients is complete in the small intestine, the remains move into the large intestine. The four major functions of the large intestine are reabsorption of water and mineral ions such as sodium and chloride, formation and temporary storage of feces, maintaining a resident population of over 500 species of bacteria, and bacterial fermentation of indigestible materials. As the remnant food material moves through the colon, it is mixed with bacteria and mucus and formed into feces for temporary storage before being eliminated from the body. Finally, we reach the end of our digestion journey with feces being excreted from the body, and, if all goes well, a happy and relieved body. Thank you for joining us for a trip through the digestive system.